Saving others makes them heroes. It almost makes them targets. Despite the setback dealt by the FBI special agent Megan Luchek, the club moves forward with a new contest centered around heroes, partly looking for payback and partly looking to cash in. They forcibly invite Megan and her sister to participate. The agent quickly discovers that the contestants aren't the only ones in danger. Each one has a family member to fight for. Will the heroes have to be villains to save those they love? Find out in the Heroes Contest, Book 2 of the Cyber League Crimes, written by Julie C. Gilbert, narrated by Liz Brand. Hello, and welcome back to the second review for Mini March. Now, when I say mini review, I'm not saying that the reviews are smaller. I'm merely stating that the books I'm reading are smaller than a normal book. They're short stories. And the only month that begins with an S is September, so I just wanted to do it in March. See how this month goes. Maybe I'll do it again in the future with other short stories. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But let's go ahead and jump into this review for the Hero Contest. So, getting started with the cover and title. So, the fact is that I'm going to have to give this 5 stars. Everything I deducted points for last time is still here in this one. So I'm not going to deduct points from it again. If you want to see what issues I do have with the cover and title, and you have not checked out the first video, there should be a link at the top here. But all that stuff is going to stay the same. Basically, all these covers look exactly the same. I gave this one 5 stars because while it is exactly the same as the previous one, it didn't do anything worse. I will say that, in fact, this one probably is at least a little bit better, as the silhouettes are characters, or it looks like they're characters that are supposed to be in the book. Other than that, like I said, everything is exactly the same, so I'm going to give it a default of 5 stars, being that it's part of this series of books. I still think all the previous criticisms I give that last time are still here. It still looks like a cover, like a DVD or Blu-ray cover to a police show like NCSI, Criminal Minds, stuff like that I've seen at Walmart. But now moving on to the writing. Now I deducted points last time. And last time, the reason I had deducted points here was because I said that everything wrapped up too quickly, and it was pretty much like finalized. It didn't leave me wanting more. The writing did not leave me driving to hurry up and hear the next one. So for writing, I'm going to again give this 5 stars. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily better, but it's about the same. Once again, same thing. It didn't do anything worse. but it didn't do anything better. It still kind of wrapped up, and yes, actually, I guess it did do a little bit better due to the fact that there was a little bit of an ending where it's like, oh, we're going to be doing this next time. The bad guy, the classic, oh, well, that plan failed, but luckily we have this backup. So there's that at least. And it doesn't really make me go, oh man, I have to hear it right now. But at least it's something. So, moving on to the narration. And for this section, again, I'm going to give it 5 stars. Liz Brand did a very great job at reading the material and doing voices. I enjoyed listening to her read. Is it the very best narration I've ever heard? I've heard better, but I have not heard worse. So I gotta give this section 5 stars as well. Now moving into the story. And for story, I'm going to have to give this 3 stars. First off, the reason why I'm giving this story 3 stars is because, like I said, this is not the reason I'm giving it the 3 stars. I'll get to it. Trust me. I'm just starting with this. But again, as I said, the previous book, it wrapped up. The hero saved the day, saved all the other people that were in danger, and her sister and her, I think it was like her cousin or brother. No, I think it's their cousin or something. And they all go off in a white van, because, well, the agent doesn't have a transportation of her own, but she saves the day. And then this story kind of picks up right from there, with the other prisoners that were saved by the FBI agent, the cousin, the sister, and they just kind of try to go back to their homes, And then the events of this book really get kicked off. Now, I have a problem with this due to the fact, well, I have not watched CSI or NCSI or whatever, I have watched some police dramas. And I think I know enough to know that there is no way in hell the FBI is going to allow their agent, who was just in danger, to just go drop everyone off and go back home. Go back, take her sister home and her cousin home, No, that's not what's going to happen. No, they're going to insist that everybody be brought in, everybody be questioned, especially if there's a chance that there's other bad guys out there still. That was very breaking to me as a reader of this story to go, what? No. They would be brought in. They would be debriefed. They would have to give statements. They would have to probably wait and make sure that these people are going to be safe. There's no way that they're going to be just let go, without being brought in at all. They would be questioned. They would be grilled for information. I mean, the cousin would have been put in jail probably. There's so much information that these people have. The entire house that was found, even though it was on fire, the fire department would have been on the way. The FBI already knew their agent was in trouble and that she was possibly going to be kidnapped by these, criminals. So there's a lot of police work that would have to get dealt with. And I even though, yeah, you can even say, like, I know it's common trope that a lot of times the hero agent of whatever FBI, CIA, and whatever three-letter thing they're part of, they still would follow the rules to a certain degree. They would still know, oh, hey, yeah, I can't take you home. I can't let anybody go because every single one of us has information that might help to the capture of these people to prevent them from continuing to do this. And I think the only reason that major plot point was skipped was just so this could happen. Honestly, I feel like, yeah, it's great that it happened right away, but at the same time, some of the information of what is all set up in this feels like it should have red flagged a long time ago. Like, I don't want to spoil too much, but there are certain things that happen that even in the book they say is a major red flag for what's going on. And it's like, yeah, and you didn't think that maybe this group was probably responsible? Because it seems like all this is happening within hours of the end of the first book. At least in this trilogy. So, once again, you have the Saw-like, Squid Game-like betting with a new game starting because the previous game failed. You learn a little bit more about the villains, not much. Like, the main villain from the last book is hardly in this one at all. And now it's like his son who's mainly behind it. And once again, by the end of the story, they bring it to a complete inclusive ending, only to have the bad guy saying, oh, well, that failed, well, we got one more. I feel like there should have been a good year or two between the end of the first book and the pickup of this. I mean, even 24, which I am a huge fan of. Every season didn't just end and start on the very next day. It ended and it's like, oh, well, season 2 is a year later. Season 3 is a year and a half later. Season 4 was 2 years later. There was some major time skip between the seasons. But, Jack Bauer, for the most part, when he did stuff believably as an agent of the government. He did do his best to make everybody safe. If he had to rescue his, like in the first season, he has to go rescue his daughter. Well, when he rescues her, it's not like, oh, I'm taking you home and putting you to bed. It's, oh, well, now you got to come into CTU and I have to keep you under wraps until we can debrief you and we can find out what you saw, what you know. Even though that's his daughter, he's still going to make her go through the process because inside CTU, she's safer than if she was outside of CTU. Inside the FBI building, with all those other FBI agents around, every single person at the end of the first book would have been more safer inside the FBI building, unable to be touched by the bad guys. So the bad guys would have had to wait like a year, and a year would have had to pass to get to that point. But for what we got, I guess it was fine. Now, the only other reason why I gave story this time around 3 stars is because of the fact this book also had another major problem aside from the realism of how it began. And that is the stakes. So there's a lot of kidnapping. I see a theme of a lot of kidnapping. But that seems to be about the extent of the stakes. Now, I'm not saying, despite what my friend would say about me. I'm not saying every story you gotta kill someone off. The first story could have had just somebody getting very badly injured. Someone could have been shot and on life support, wondering, will they make it? But I feel like in this one, there were so many extra characters, and I feel like they needed to kill a few of the characters off. I feel like this really needed some death. Because right now, so far, as much as I can tell, the agent gets into trouble. There are other people in trouble with the agent. And by the skin of their teeth, or by outside intervention, they're able to luckily manage to swoop in at the last second and save everybody from dying. And it's like, okay, these bad guys are either the worst bad guys in the world, or this is the luckiest damn agent in the world. Luckier than Jack Bauer, and Jack Bauer went through people dying. So, like I said, not everybody's got to die. My friend would disagree with me because I do put a lot of death in my books. People die. But as a writer, I do that because of the fact it raises the stakes when characters can die. I was watching One Piece, and I keep seeing all these things happen to characters in One Piece. Like, there's a scene where this main crew member of Luffy's crew snaps the backs, I guess, is what my friend said. She snapped all these sailors' backs in half so that she could take them down. And I'm like, sorry, in real life, that would probably kill them. There wasn't very much at stake with One Piece. For the most part, there are so many times characters should die, but they don't die. And I get it's a cartoon, but are we in a Looney Tunes cartoon? Or are we in a cartoon that's trying to tell a serious story? Which is usually what anime does. And death works in anime too, Look at Full Metal Alchemist. And it's beloved by so many anime fans. So I don't buy into this, you don't have to have people die. If you want your story to be taken seriously, and you want people to always be wondering, that's what makes Game of Thrones such a big seller, is people died. And the author wasn't just doing it just to have a body count. He's doing it to show you, and this is like, me and my friend were talking. He's like, yeah, but that would probably turn me off the series because then I wouldn't be able to get attached. And I said to him, no. If anything, that should make you more attached because you don't know. Is this page you're reading, or is this scene that you're seeing if it's a movie or a TV show? Is this the last time you're going to see this character alive? When death is actually in your story and for a fact people can die, even main characters, that should tell you, oh crap, anything can happen here. Now, yeah, granted, usually the main characters have the thickest plot armor going. But what about the people around them? What about their loved ones? This is something that some people who do writing, you need to understand. If you want your audience to be enthralled in the suspense, and that's what usually police dramas are, is very suspenseful. We're not in the 50s, we're not in the 70s any longer, where you can have a crime drama and not have people die and have, the heroes winning at the end of every episode. Like I said, when I first started the first book, I thought by the end of it, she would just be getting kidnapped, and that it was going to lead into this book. And I thought, oh man, all of this is going to turn into, some big epic series like, story. And it kind of is, but it's doing it in a way that's just not leaving me really wanting more. Like, I can get through the next book. Like, I actually put on another audiobook between these two. I mean, I always planned to do that because I was going to save the last one for the end of the month. But I had no problem doing that. I enjoyed listening to the other one and taking a break from this, and I'm absolutely fine going back to this now that I'm done with that one. But if it had left me wanting more, I probably would have been like, oh man, I know I gotta listen to that other one, but I really want to listen to hers, And I feel like if there was some death, if there was some really high stakes, that's what could have happened. It would have left me in that mind frame that, yes, I want more. I need more. I can't live without it. But unfortunately, because the stakes just don't seem that high, and obvious common things that are usually done by the people in charge weren't done this time around, it's just like, oh, well, it's just really convenient. And then nobody's looking for this FBI agent. Nobody cares to say, hey, where'd she go? I don't even think she called it in, and said, hey, I'll be in like 20 minutes. Just let me get my family situated. Because she knew, like, if she had called in, her boss would be like, hey, you get your ass and everybody else who was there here now. So that is why, that entire thing is why I'm giving the story 3 stars. Because those to me, and I won't do I already can sort of predict the next book, that it's not going to increase the stakes either. Like, I don't think anybody's going to die. I'd be really shocked if it happened. But as it stands, that's why I gave this section 3 stars this time. And moving on to the characters. And once again, for the characters, I'm going to give this 5 stars. They weren't any worse. They weren't any better. You can take some of what I said from the story and you can attach it to the characters, because that's an intermingled thing. The no stakes thing was intermingled between story and characters. I can't care about your characters if you're not upping the stakes, and I can't care about the story if I don't think the characters are really in danger. So I decided to go ahead and put it with the story this time. Maybe next time I might not, but I might. I don't know yet. When I get to that, I might put it with characters next time if it's any worse. But once again, this is mini March, so we're not doing extras. So moving on to the final score. And for the final score, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. It was slightly better. The thing that I took points away for in the story section was probably my biggest issue. Why? I do have to say this slightly did better for me than the first one because, you already were familiar with the characters. You're already familiar with the setup of this world and everything. And you're just kind of getting more of that. So, I mean, I deducted points for everything in the previous video. And I didn't save any of it for this video. So that's why this one gets a slightly higher score. So, yeah. This has been my review for the Hero Contest Cyber League Crimes Book 2, written by Julie C. Gilbert. If you want to check it out for yourself and tell me how wrong I am, please feel free to do so by clicking the link at the bottom. And if you're in the US, it'll take you straight to the Amazon site, and you can check out the ebook, or you could go and get the audiobook on Audible. I also have several short stories, and I am saving something for characters for next time, which I'll touch on when I do her third book. But if you like short stories, if you like short audiobooks, you could check hers out, or you could check out some of mine. I have some really good, interesting audiobooks that are also short. So that means they don't cost very much. So if you want to check those out, a link will be in the description to my Amazon page. And I think from there you could just click over and it'll send you to Audible. So yeah, I want to thank you all for watching. If you have not, please consider subscribing to this channel. Make sure to click that notification bell. And I will talk to you all next time.